Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as Manchester United look at a potential shock swap deal involving Atletico Madrid's João Felix and Manchester United's Cristiano Ronaldo. We'll also be talking about what some people are saying is a ridiculously unrealistic price tag set on Harry Maguire if he was allowed to leave Manchester United in the summer. We'll reveal that in a few minutes' time. MKF says, I'm hoping for some Goldbridge singing on the chart show tonight. I've been banned from doing the singing. I did used to sing on the chart show, but the chart show will be back tonight, of course. Who'll be number one this week? It's been a bit of a weird week, hasn't it, after that Villa game and then a bad first half against Villa, but a good second half. That's on the chart show later, but let's fly straight into the show. Lots to get involved in. Interesting, that just makes me think. This is obviously the World Cup weekend, the last weekend before the World Cup. I was messaging a player last night, not a Man United player, so don't get too excited. It wasn't a Man United player. And I just asked what's sort of on my mind, I think probably on a lot of other people's mind at this moment, what impact do you think the World Cup will have on people this weekend? This player said to me, you can see it in training, like there are players that know they're going to the World Cup in a week's time. They're sort of like, don't really want to play, got a bit of a knock. He said, look, I think if you're not going to the World Cup, it's a real opportunity to have a really good weekend. If you are going to the World Cup, he said, I think that players will, not be as committed because they don't want to get injured. So I don't know how that works because for United, Martial's not going to, and it wasn't a United player. It wasn't a United player. This is going to impact everybody. But for United, you've got, people like Martial not going to the World Cup. Garnacho's not going to the World Cup. So, they may have a good week, whereas a player who is going to the World Cup may not have a great week. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with it. But could be a very interesting subtext to this weekend. I'm doing Newcastle-Chelsea at 5:30 on That's Football, by the way, if you want to watch that with me on the watch-along. But on to Manchester United. Big story yesterday coming out from Europe about Manchester United looking to make a shock deal with João Felix and Atletico Madrid in January. It is a deal that's been spoken about quite a lot. We did actually express an interest in the summer for João Felix. Before we bought Anthony and before we bought Casemiro, and there was suddenly this desperation for United to spend a load of money, having been bidding for Rabiot and Arnautovic, and we suddenly found 150 million quid under the bed. We did approach Atletico Madrid about João Felix, and they said no. Now, if we had got anywhere with that deal, I don't think we would have got Anthony, maybe not even Casemiro. So I think we got the right deal. But there is no doubt that Man United are admirers of João Felix, and certainly Erik ten Hag is. I think Erik ten Hag would like João Felix to play as the number 9. False 9, whatever you want to call it. I think he would like him in that position. He could also mix and match with Bruno sometimes and put Martial up the front. So I can see why Ten Hag would like him. If you've been a follower of Ajax with Ten Hag, this is definitely the sort of player that he could utilise in the number 9 or the number 10 position, or even off the wide, I suppose, at times. But there's no doubt that United would be interested in him, and there's no doubt that Ten Hag would like him. Do I think we can do a deal in January? Look, what I would say about Manchester United is there's never a time when you can say it's impossible to do something. We just spent £85 million on Anthony, 30 million too much. So we are capable of spending silly money at times. The Pogba deal, the Harry Maguire deal, the Sancho deal. We are capable of doing it. I don't think you can ever say we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. The chances are we probably won't do it, but we could do it. And he is available. It just doesn't really go along with what United have said they want to do in January, which is not spend at all. I think we will spend in January. I do. I think we'll get a right back and we may get a striker. But the big thing is, and this is absolutely categorically true, and you can do what you like with this, but this is true. I've spoken to a lot of people about this and you can pick it up anyway. United are only buying a striker in January if Ronaldo goes. If Ronaldo stays, forget a striker in January. There'll be no Cody Gakpo in January. There'll be no Jonathan David. There'll be no João Felix. There'll be no striker in January if Ronaldo stays. That's the bottom line. So you've got to establish that. We are not buying a striker in January if Cristiano Ronaldo stays. So, end of show. No, but that is a fact. That is not going to change. That would be shocking on big proportion if United kept Ronaldo in January and bought a striker as well. Of course, never say never. You just don't know. But that is the stance that United have. If Ronaldo had left in August, United would have bought probably Gakpo. If he leaves in January, they will buy somebody. Maybe still Gakpo, maybe a João Felix, maybe a Jonathan David. They'll have to. they'll have to buy someone, and they will do. But what I'm told is, in relation to Man United's stance, is if Ronaldo goes, they'll be busy in the January transfer market to replace him. If he stays, they will wait until the summer. And effectively, United's stance really is, if Ronaldo stays, he's a professional and he will work hard, and that will be benefit to Manchester United for the end of the season. If Ronaldo goes, then we have to replace him. So the ball is very much in Ronaldo's court. Now, some people wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but I think that I sort of do agree with United's stance on this. It's took me a while, but I do agree with it because it's being fed by Ten Hag. And it's sort of like, look, ideally, I would like to be buying a striker in the summer where we can assess more options. You're fishing in a bigger pond. If you're replacing Ronaldo in January, you might have 5 players, 5 strikers. If you're replacing him in the summer, you might have 30. So there's a bigger pool to go at, and therefore your options are more. So I think Ten Hag's stance is, let's wait until the summer for a striker, because I might still go for the same one in January, but I've got more to go for. But if Ronaldo does go and finds a move, then we'll let him go and we'll go and get someone in January. So I understand United's point of view, because the alternative to that is, and some people might say, well, United should be actively trying to find him a club. It's not easy to find Ronaldo a club in January. It wasn't easy to find him a club in August because everyone wanted him for free. So United have basically said to George Mendes, you find the club, you come to us with the proposition. If it's suitable, we'll let it go. And then if that happens, then you're back talking about whether United would go for João Felix. I think he'd work well with Ten Hag's tumbleweed. So back to João Felix. If Ronaldo goes in January, and I can't tell you where, would United move for João Felix? And I think that first thing has to happen first. If Ronaldo goes in January, then you've got to bring João Felix into the equation. You've got to bring Cody Gakpo and other people. João Felix is looking to get out of Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid will want decent money. I would imagine Barcelona, maybe PSG, probably Bayern Munich, maybe a Chelsea would look at João Felix in January. So there probably would be some competition. It would cost a lot of money. But United might see it as an opportunity. I mean, the thing about United at the moment is they are ambitious under Ten Hag. And it's hard to judge how ambitious the football club is, because on one hand, they backed him too much in the summer. Like, they spent too much money. They overspent. They brought the right players in, but they overspent. Will they continue that, or is that the door closed now? Now, because on one hand, you've got the Glazers saying, well, it's going to take 2 years to look at what we're going to do with the stadium, and then probably another 2 years to build it, and there's no more money. But you wouldn't put it past United to just go and buy João Felix in January. So you just don't know. There was a story yesterday that we're looking at Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Frenkie de Jong, Bruno Guimaraes in the summer, and I'm like, well, where's that money coming from then when we need a striker as well? Because we've got no one to sell. We're not. The bad thing about Man United, and the good thing about Liverpool's rebuild under Klopp, is that Liverpool could sell Coutinho for 130 million, which in modern day is about 200 million now with inflation. So we don't have a player to generate what Klopp did with that Coutinho money. He went and bought 4 or 5 players, didn't he? So anything we spend, and we do need to spend, has to come from the club profits, and that's always difficult. So if we're buying a striker and then we're going for Bellingham in the summer, then where is that 200 million coming from? Because we've got no one to sell. So it's interesting how Manchester United might work out. Do I think we could do a swap deal with Ronaldo and João Felix? I can't see Ronaldo playing for Atletico Madrid. No, I can't see that happening. I can't see that happening at all. I think it would be a standalone deal. I think João Felix is looking... I mean, you know what I would like to happen, and I don't think anyone's going to mention it. I would like United to get João Felix in January with a loan to buy. Because loan to buy deals tend to work out quite well. They tend to work out quite cheap, because that means the club that are selling are desperate to get rid of him, and you try before you buy. I would love to see United get João Felix on a loan to buy in January. Very rarely see them. Happens a lot more with Italian clubs, but that would be perfect for Manchester United. But I'll go back to what I said before. We can all go, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, but there are a few things that are factual. One, United did express an interest in João Felix to Atletico Madrid in August. It got knocked back. João Felix does now want to leave Atletico Madrid, and they want to sell him. They're not in Europe at all, so they need to sell. If Ronaldo leaves in January, Manchester United will move and buy a striker. So there's three big things there. He is for sale. We have shown an interest under Ten Hag. And if Ronaldo goes, we'll buy a striker. So let's just wait and see what happens with it. But that's not speculation. Those three things are fact. Ronaldo is looking to leave, and if he goes, we will buy a striker. João Felix and Atletico Madrid are looking to part ways in January or the summer, and Atletico Madrid and Manchester United did have conversations in the summer. So we'll have to wait and see. Would I take João Felix? Yes, I would. I think he's 23. 23, is he? Just 23, or is he 24 now? I think his birthday's sort of end of the year, but no, he's a very, very good player, and I think he would suit the Premier League really, really well. People might say, well, why does João Felix not get picked for Atletico Madrid? Why does he not settle? Atletico Madrid is not the right club for João Felix. I was very surprised when he went from Benfica to João Felix, because I remember João Felix at Benfica, and it was when Bruno was at Sporting, and I was paying a lot of attention to the Portuguese league at that time because I desperately wanted us to buy Bruno Fernandes. I was like, he will make a big difference, and he has. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Bruno. I know I've been very, very critical of him, but sometimes you shout more at the players you care about. And Bruno, I'm a massive fan of Bruno, and I always have been. And if you've been watching the channel for a long time, you'll know I'm a massive fan of Bruno. But I have been on his back recently because I just don't think he's playing as well as he should do. And I can't be arsed with these people who go, you've got an agenda against Bruno. You don't watch the channel. Please don't watch the channel and jog off with your little toxic lies on Twitter, because I'm a massive fan of Bruno Fernandes, and I knew a lot about him before he came to United, and I used to moan about it all the time. So at that time, João Felix was doing very well at Benfica, and the big conversation really was, who's better, Bruno at Sporting or João Felix at Benfica? And the general consensus was that João Felix was the better talent. And I was stunned when he went to Atletico Madrid, because Atletico Madrid do not suit João Felix at all. As you know, Atletico Madrid are a part-the-bus side that are happy to have 40% possession. Imagine what João Felix would do in a Man City side with 70% possession, or Liverpool, or even United under Ten Hag. He is, without doubt, a player that when he leaves Atletico Madrid is going to go massively, massively up. He is basically like a caged footballer at Atletico Madrid, because the style doesn't suit him at all. So yeah, look, I don't know whether we'll get him, but if Ten Hag wants him, I would go and get him, because I think he's a really good player. But yeah, and then I suppose the next thing to that is this story last night about Harry Maguire leaving Manchester United. I spoke to somebody about this last night. I messaged somebody last night about it. The stance from United around Harry Maguire is that this is just paper talk. It's normal paper talk. They're not looking to sell Harry Maguire. He's about to go off to the World Cup. He may well start against Fulham tomorrow. He played on Thursday night. Erik Ten Hag is very happy with Harry Maguire, and no decisions have been made about players on their futures at this moment in time. And a lot can happen between now and the end of the season. That is absolutely Manchester United's stance, and I don't disagree with it. What was interesting was that there was another story coming out late last night about Maguire and how much time he's got left on his contract, and how much Manchester United would be looking to move him on. There was mention of interest from Leicester and Everton and a £40 million fee. I thought, well, I've got to bring that into the chat, because would we get £40 million for Harry Maguire? It's a tough one. Because I suppose you could bring Ronaldo into this. Somebody in the chat just said, Rex, I'm interested in Ronaldo, says Rob. Somebody just said there, well, look, it's in everybody's best interest if Ronaldo goes, because then we can get the striker in we want, he can get the move he wants, and we start to move forward. If Ronaldo stays until May, he's going to be on the bench, he's going to be unhappy. Some of the fans don't really think we're that good with Ronaldo in the team. The sooner this gets resolved, the better for everybody. And you know what? Hallelujah. Because that is the right answer. It's best for Ronaldo to go in January. It's best for Ten Hag. It's best for the fans. It's best for the club. I think everybody would just part ways amicably and be fine. If it doesn't happen in January, I think everyone knows it's just going to be a bit of a circus. But the problem with Harry Maguire and the problem with Cristiano Ronaldo is that even if you want those two players to go, Man United's problem is the same problem we've had with Phil Jones, with Marcus Rojo, with every other player really, Eric Bailly. We can't sell players because they come to Man United and they get big wages. and then they get big contracts, and then nobody will pay those wages, and we can't pay them off. So I think the problem we will have with Ronaldo in January and Maguire in the summer is they may well not be part of the plans, but how do you move them on? Ronaldo to Sporting Lisbon in January, forget about it. They're not even in the Champions League. Atletico Madrid, not going to happen. Napoli have already said no. Bayern Munich would be stunning, but highly unlikely. I don't see where Ronaldo goes in January, unless post World Cup he goes, right, that's it. I want to focus on my Portugal career. I'm going to go and play in the MLS or something like that. I just don't see where Ronaldo goes in January. I think in the summer, maybe there's somewhere to go, but he wants to score goals in the Champions League still, and I can't see where he's going to do that. So I think that there is a scenario in January for Man United to buy a striker, and I think most people want that to happen, but it will only happen if Ronaldo leaves, and you've got to look at how Ronaldo leaves. I will say this. I want Ronaldo to do well in the World Cup because it's probably his last World Cup anyway, and he's a GOAT of the game and he's a legend of Man United. There's nothing more I want to see than Ronaldo scoring goals in the World Cup. But there's a double-edged sword to that, because if Ronaldo scores goals in the World Cup, I'll enjoy it, but it will also probably get him the move he needs in January. I don't think it... But then people will start saying Ronaldo's still the GOAT, keep him at Man United. So, but I think a good World Cup for Ronaldo might get him the move he wants, but we'll have to wait and see. Mark, if we were able to offload Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Williams, Donny and Ronaldo, it would free up much needed funds to invest in new players, as Vincent, and you might have hit the nail on the head with those players, to be honest with you. But with Maguire, we are talking hypothetically with Maguire, how much money would Man United get for him? I think at the end of the day, whoever's negotiating these deals needs to forget what we paid for them. Like, it's the same with Wan-Bissaka. If you get fixated with you paid £50 million for him, I mean, you can't go into a negotiation with anybody who's interested in Wan-Bissaka and say, we paid £50 million for him, because they're going to go, well, you're an idiot. And it's the same with Harry Maguire. If Leicester did want him back, or Everton wanted him, and we go, well, we want 50 because we paid 80, well, you're an idiot. We're going to give you 25. Forget about it. Well, you're not going to get anything else, are you? And that is probably what's going to happen. I think it's unfair, unrealistic, and almost a waste of time to start putting figures on players in relation to what they would be worth, because we're not very good at selling. The most important thing is, and I think this many people would agree with me here, forget how much you get for Wan-Bissaka or Brandon Williams or Harry Maguire or anybody else you want to sell. The most important thing for me is you've got to do what the manager wants. If the manager says to the club, this player is not part of my plans, I don't even want them part of the squad, I need a better player than that, here is the player I would like, this is the player you need to get rid of, the club needs to take the hit. We've used this analogy lots of times, and it's the most important one for any manager. Whether it's Eddie Howe at Newcastle, whether it's Graham Potter at Chelsea, who are both, trying to build things as well. Look at what happened to Arteta, and they did this, what I'm about to say. In Ten Hag's situation, he takes over that squad, and it's basically, I don't know whether anyone even does jigsaws anymore, but you open up a jigsaw box, and you very quickly realise you haven't got all the pieces for your jigsaw. You've got loads of other jigsaws in there. And basically, we're asking Ten Hag to build a jigsaw of Man United winning the title, and we're getting him to do it with the wrong pieces. He's got Mourinho bits, he's got Van Gaal bits, he's got Solskjaer bits, and he has to be able to go, get rid of that and get me a new bit, get rid of that. And in the past, that hasn't happened. So whoever he says it about, and look, I came into this at the start of the season, and he might have said it about De Gea, he still could. He might have said it about Bruno, he still could. He might say it about Sancho, he still could. I don't agree with any of those three players being sold, but if he says it, the club have to do it. That is the way back for Manchester United. They cannot do what they've done in the past. Well, we spent so much money on him, his wages are so big, he's an asset on the books. No, we can't manage a football club like a spreadsheet. If Erik Ten Hag sits down over the next few weeks, which he's going to, and says to the board, Harry Maguire's got to go, Jadon Sancho's got to go, over the next 2 years, you probably need to get rid of Bruno as well. then the club have to put those wheels in motion. Now, he's not going to say that about Sancho and Bruno, and maybe not about Maguire, but the club have to do that. Because he didn't buy Bruno, he didn't buy Maguire, and he didn't buy Sancho. And I use those three players on purpose, not because I think it's going to happen, I don't. But they're not his signings. If I'm the chairman of Manchester United, or I'm the CEO of Manchester United, and Erik ten Hag comes to me and says, I want these three players gone in the next summer, and they're not his signings, I have to do it. I have to do it, because my answer cannot... What is my answer? If I'm Richard Arnold and Erik ten Hag says to me next month, I want to sell Harry Maguire in the summer because I want to bring a defender in that suits my system better, how can I say no unless I'm doing it from, yeah, we can't afford to do that. He's an asset on the books, and I think he's a good player. You can't say that to the manager. None of those things are footballing reasons, are they? So, yes, that has to happen, whoever it is. Mark, I have seen World Cup song from Speed. Yep, thank you. Great job, Mark. You're the best, says Uncle Albert. Legends never named that. Space says Bruno and Sancho is okay. Look, they were an example. That I'm not saying they're going to go, but yeah, the club. I think this is the next. I think next summer is going to be huge in the sense that I know for a fact, and so do you, that Ten Hag has said certain players can go, and they didn't get rid of them last summer. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Brandon Williams, definitely two players that were told they can go. The club didn't get rid of them. Next summer, will that happen again with more important players? You know, maybe a Maguire, or who else? You know, maybe a Fred, maybe a McTominay, maybe even a Lindelof. You know, who knows? He will be saying that about those types of players because he'll have had a year here and he'll be like, okay, long term, they're not the right players for me. Move them on. Will the club not do it again? These are key things that you need to have in your head, because if the club don't remove the players that Ten Hag wants to remove, how can you ever progress? You can't. You can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's like Erik ten Hag walking into your kitchen and saying, right, nobody come in, I'm about to clean the kitchen and I've got really good cleaning products and a brand new mop. And he starts mopping it up. And every time he gets halfway through, you walk in with your muddy shoes on and he has to go back and do it again. That's what United's board is going to be like if they don't remove the muddy footsteps of the past. He has to be allowed to clean house. And if, when it's clean and dry, it gets muddy, that's on him. But if people are coming in when he's halfway through doing his job, that's on the club. The club have to let him manage. That is something to really keep an eye on. It's not just about recruitment. It's about moving players on. You know, I've been doing Football Manager recently, and you know, you can bring players in, but your squad just gets inflated, and then you can't bring any more players in because your squad's inflated. You've got to remove players who don't fit your system, and the club have to allow him to do that. Roger says, I'm sorry, Mark, but a manager who has to get everything he wants just to make the team play better is not a top manager. Roger, you've absolutely exposed yourself there. So Jurgen Klopp would never have won the Champions League and the Premier League if he hadn't brought the players in he wanted and got rid of the players that he didn't. Mikel Arteta would not be top of the league if he hadn't changed his goalkeeper, got rid of Aubameyang and brought in the players that he wanted. Pep Guardiola would not be the most successful manager in the Premier League at the moment if he hadn't bought 3 right-backs, 4 goalkeepers and rotated his team with millions and millions of pounds. There is no manager out there that is successful who gets on with what he's got. There isn't. Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho. It doesn't work like that. You might be a hard-working manager like an Eddie Howe at Bournemouth, but he'll still bring players in from the Championship that are the best players from the Championship. Recruitment is absolutely essential, fundamental to being a successful manager. You are not a good manager unless you can use the transfer market. You cannot be a good manager working with other people's shit. You can't. So I'm sorry, Roger, you're completely wrong there. I sort of get where you're coming from. You know, good managers should be able to make an impact no matter what. But there is a ceiling to that. I mean, I'm sure Erik ten Hag, if he'd spent no money, would have made Man United slightly better, but we wouldn't be top 4. We wouldn't achieve anything. You've got to be able to utilise players. 100%. You have to do that. Let me just load and start. Now that's gone there. Mourinho at Porto still bought players, Pratt. You see, this is what people do. Pratt's a good name, actually, because... this is what Pratish, sorry. This is what people do. They make up lies. They'll start. Well, Mourinho at Porto won the Champions League without spending money. Not done your homework, have you? Mourinho spent money at Porto. So, people pull crap and start going, oh, he did it without money. He did it without money. Even Leicester under Ranieri spent money when they won the title. And that was the most ridiculously one-off season you'll ever see. Mitrovic is definitely out for the Fulham game. Yep. Looking forward to that tomorrow, actually. All I would say to that is, can Man United win the title with this team? No. You could put Pep... we could get Pep, Klopp and Ten Hag to have a threesome and they would not make that title, that United team win a title. What have I just said? That's going to mess up a lot of people's head. What I meant is the threesome element would be Ten Hag, Klopp and Pep managing the team all together in harmony. Not the threesome that some of you filthy people will think. So there is no manager, whether by design, robotic, or in reality, or team, you could bring together to win the title with that team. That Man United squad is incapable of winning the title. As it stands right now, it cannot win the title. There is no way. The Leicester thing ain't going to happen. You are not going to beat Man City, or an Arsenal, or even a Liverpool, really. I think Liverpool will go past us at some point with that squad. You have to improve that squad. And if you don't think you do, look, even Goldbridge ball and its vertical tiki-taka 4-4-2 ain't going to win the title with that team. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen at all. One story I did want to bring you, Garnacho, Barcelona. A few people have been mentioning about it in the chat. A bit of a good news story. Barcelona are very interested in Garnacho. They're not the only club interested in Garnacho. You can add the list of Bayern Munich, PSG, Real Madrid. Loads of people are interested in Garnacho. Absolutely, 100%. You understand why. There's a lot of interest around Garnacho. This is why Manchester United are trying to get him on a new contract. He's a very talented player and a lot of people are looking at him. But we do not have a Paul Pogba situation going on here where he's going to leave for nothing to Juventus or whatever. There is a bit of a myth going out there that Garnacho's contract is up in the summer and therefore he could leave wherever he wanted to go. I've seen this a lot of times, and I think the best source for it was Luckhurst on the Manchester Evening News said it. It was out there again today. Garnacho's contract is till 2025. Transfer market has it as 2023, but the understanding is that his contract is till 2025, and the terms of that contract are obviously not great, but United are working on a longer term. What I would say is, it does seem a little bit odd that Garnacho's on a contract till 2025 because he's only 18 and 2025 is still 3 years away. But apparently he's on a contract already till 2025. And as Himanshu said there, I'll be honest, there are rumours out that his contract's 2023, but a lot of people in the know are saying his contract's till 2025. So we might be able to just get that clarified here. It's easy to do. Bear with. But look, there's no reason for him to leave Manchester United, really. He's getting game time. I'm sure he's going to be one of those players that... What I would say about Garnacho is Garnacho, 18, is contracted to United until 2025, despite summer reports his deal would expire next year. That was a story from the 28th of October by Samuel Luckhurst, who is the chief Manchester United writer. So, look, Samuel's got things in the past wrong, didn't he? Wasn't a keeper coming into Carrington, but I think you can take that as read, that he's under contract till 2025. So we don't need to worry about that. And actually, when you've got a player that's under a big contract and there's interest from big clubs, it's actually a good thing. You only need to panic when they're not under it. But morning, Mark. I think the board will overrule Ten Hag. Their incompetence is Mikel Roach. So that's the thing we need to keep an eye out. But I will say this about Garnacho, and it's way too early to say it. He probably is a player that at some point has a dream of playing for Barcelona or Real Madrid, because Cristiano Ronaldo had exactly the same dream as a teenager at Manchester United. I don't know that for a fact, but Garnacho, being Argentinian, a massive fan of Messi and Ronaldo, I just fear that he won't be... Let's put it this way, I don't think he's going to be a Man United player until he's 31. I can see Garnacho lighting up the United side, hopefully, and then in about 3 or 4 years, he'll be like, my dream is to go and play for Real Madrid or Barcelona. It's one of my biggest pet hates in football. I just wish there was more players that, end up starting. Wouldn't it be great if Valverde or Pedri came out with, I like it here at Barcelona, but my dream is to play for Manchester United. It never works the other way around, does it? There is this glamour and aura of Real Madrid and Barcelona that just seems to attract every bloody player. Whether it's European players or South American players, they all want to play for Real Madrid or Barcelona. And I'd love it if that wasn't the case. But and maybe we'll get lucky with Garnacho. But look at his background as a player. Argentinian, loves Messi, loves Ronaldo. I almost guarantee that it's his dream to play for Real Madrid or Barcelona at some point. But we'll see. He's got to develop and become a Man United player first. And ultimately, you know what? This is why you need a conveyor belt of talent and scouting, because the problem Man United had, and it's a very, very, very pertinent point here. Why is it a bad thing if Garnacho wants to go and play for Real Madrid in 4 years' time? We'll get 200 million quid for him, and we can reinvest that 200 million quid. It's exactly what Liverpool did with Coutinho and Suarez. The problem is when you're getting a Garnacho every 15 years. United need to be getting a Garnacho every year or two. Because if you look at it, Ronaldo was our last superstar player. We sold him and we never bloody replaced him. You could almost say we haven't had a player as exciting as Ronaldo until Garnacho. I know Rashford was good and Mason Greenwood, but Garnacho looks very, very exciting, and Ronaldo was that. That's what? It's bloody 15 years. Well, it's not 15 years. It's 13, 14 years since Ronaldo left. So it's every 15 years we're producing a talent like that. We need to be better at it. So that if Garnacho does go to Real Madrid for 200 million in 5 years' time, you've already got another couple coming through. That's what we need to do. And I think that's what Ten Hag is looking to do. But he's under contract till 2025, so we don't need to worry too much about it. And hopefully he'll be playing against Fulham tomorrow. Okay, really enjoyed that show. Hope you did as well. I've got my highlights of my football manager career going up on That's Football very, very shortly. We've got the chart show coming up for you later. And I'm live on That's Football at 5 o'clock for Chelsea against Newcastle, and then tomorrow Man United against Fulham. And then Monday, watch out. Brilliant video coming out on Monday. Can't wait for you to see it. I'm so excited. Thursday, big announcement. Next Saturday, it's my charity stream. Lots going on. Get involved with the channel. Smash a like. And I'll speak to you all a bit later. Take care, everyone. Enjoy your day.